It is day 2 that the rookies and quarterbacks have reported for the Kansas City Chiefs training camp. We had an undrafted wide receiver shine today. We had a rookie wide receiver vomit. And of course, I'm going to cover all the news and notes surrounding today's practice. But before we do get into all of that, please do subscribe to the channel, like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. The Kansas City Chiefs rookies and quarterbacks have taken the field. You can feel it. Football season is literally right around the corner. It is here. Today, the Kansas City Chiefs completed their first practice. We'll discuss the news and notes surrounding today's practice, and let's dive into our first little tidbit of information because it made headway, kind of concerns some of Chiefs Kingdom, and it's surrounding Isaiah Pacheco. Now, there was some uncertainty yesterday with Andy Reid's comments that made Chiefs Kingdom feel a little uneasy and felt like that Isaiah Pacheco could start this training camp on the PUP list. Well, that was not the case today, as Isaiah Pacheco did report to camp, and he didn't practice in team drills, but in individual drills. He was wearing the yellow jersey, and he was looking good. He was running like that grown man we know he is, better than ever. He may not be 100% healthy, but it is a good sign to see that when the vets report on Friday, he may participate as well. So that's a good sign. And it's also a good sign to hear that the rookies were feeding off Isaiah Pacheco's energy, because Isaiah Pacheco, he is a hype train himself, and Rasheed Rice mentioned it. He loved seeing that energy and seeing how hype Isaiah Pacheco was. So that's a good sign and a quick 24-hour turnaround, because we all expected, oh, what if Isaiah Pacheco does start on the PUP? What if by chance he is not ready for week 1, to now turning around and being like, oh, maybe there was no cause for concern. So that is good news moving into this weekend and getting ready for the vets to come in. Now, let's focus on these rookies. For the next few days, they are going to be the center of attention under the spotlight until those vets come in on Friday. And we're going to start with the first round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs, Felix Uzama. And of course, something we can highlight for him was his hand. He was injured for the majority of minicamp, actually all of it, and didn't really get to participate. Today, he mentioned he is 100%, he is ready to go, and he is ready to kick off this training camp and preseason. And that is huge as well, because I do not know what to expect from Felix Uzama going into next year, but if the Kansas City Chiefs want to replicate the type of pass rush they had last year with 55.5 sacks, he is going to be a presence, maybe not early, but later in the season, as we saw with George Karlaftis. So it's good to see him in camp, getting in shape, and learning that playbook, because these reps are going to be crucial going into preseason and into the regular season. And another thing I wanted to mention with Felix Uzama was it's great to see him healthy, but it's also great to see his personality shine. That was one of the biggest takeaways for me today, was the presence, the chemistry that this team is already building. It's just the rookies there, but Felix Uzama did crash the press conference for the other rookies like Wanye Morris and Rasheed Rice, and you could see the connection was there, the chemistry. It's what has been mentioned from the Kansas City Chiefs time in and time out. The reason why this team is so successful, yes, it's talented. Yes, it's got one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, if not greatest quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, and greatest coach in Andy Reid. But the reason they stay successful is because they really preach on being a family. And it was cool to see Felix Uzama and Rasheed Rice and Wanye Morris go back and forth during the press conference. It just shows you how close this team really is and what family really means to this team. So that's cool, and it's cool to see the relationships and see how they mend, and I almost said break, that is the wrong thing to say, mend and mold going in and throughout the season. And speaking on Rasheed Rice a little bit, he caught the attention of a few people, specifically Adam Teicher and a lot of Kansas City media that was out there, because early and often he had to come off the field, and also he was caught vomiting on the field. Hey, that humidity, that St. Joe's weather, that Andy Reid training camp was getting the best of him early and often. And of course, you're going to get the fans. You're going to get the media saying, uh-oh, he's a bust. He's out of shape. Is he a really good receiver? can we relax? Can we really? This is the kid's first day at camp. He's out there getting the field. And it really doesn't matter how good a shape you are in. When you hit that football field and you hit one of these camps, it's a different type of shape you got to be in. That's why they have these, to get you ready for the regular season. And it's also great that they have it earlier for the rookies, because when the vets come in, you already know. It's turned up a notch. It's about to be turned up a whole nother level when those vets come in. And that's what Rasheed Rice mentioned. And I love Rasheed Rice's take on it when they brought it up to him. Well, first, when he first came to his press conference, he was acting all winded, just like, and then just playing with them. I love that he can have some sarcasm and show his personality with the situation, knowing it ain't that big a deal. He's going to be ready and he's going to be good to go. And as he mentioned, he said, hey, I'm actually kind of happy I pushed myself to that limit to where I did vomit, and it got me a little upset in this situation, because it's just showing you I'm giving it everything I got and pushing myself to be a better wide receiver. And that's the right mentality to look at it as well. Another take that Rasheed Rice had was when he was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, he weighed 214 pounds. Coming into this camp, he weighs 200 pounds. I didn't think he was looking to drop weight, but hey, anything to get him in the best football shape. 200 pounds still. He's a big physical receiver, and dropping that weight can help his speed a little bit, because that was the questions coming into this camp is he going to be fast enough to separate from these NFL DBs? Well, we'll find out soon enough. So everyone's going to be dialed in on him, because he's going to be that big physical receiver. And even though we try to lime it as a negative note that, oh, he vomited in camp, he did make up for it, because he still did fully practice. And he made a good touchdown catch that was reported too. So, and it was from Patrick Mahomes. So that's always a good sign to build chemistry with the GOAT himself. Now moving on, but still staying in the wide receiver room, we had a guy who stood out. Undrafted wide receiver, Nico Ramos, and honestly, he could be a guy who we're all going to be zoned into throughout training camp and throughout preseason. He is an interesting name. He's a guy who excels in the wide receiver game and in special teams too. And I just have a feeling he's going to be one of those guys, which I don't think he'll make the roster, but he's going to make plays in training camp like he did today. He had the highlight catch today with Patrick Mahomes, where he had a great leaping catch. And Patrick Mahomes showed he was in midseason form already, basically running the side and slicking like a 30-yard pass downfield. Don't question what Mahomes is about. We already know what he is, but to see him building chemistry with everyone on this field is also great to see. But also to focus in on Nico, something tells me he's going to be one of those hard roster cuts, and he's going to become a fan favorite, to where right now I do believe he would get cut just because of the depth that is on this roster. But I do feel like once it gets to week 3 of the preseason, a lot of fans are going to feel salty and hope that he can make the practice squad. And he's going to be one of those guys. I just don't know if that's the case, because I feel like a lot of teams are going to be dialed in on him, and I feel like he can make an active roster. So it's going to be interesting to see, as we mentioned, how this wide receiver core is going to bend and fold in general, but how Nico fits into that, if he can somehow, some way squeeze himself onto the roster. Right now, I don't believe so, but it's anybody's game on this team, and specifically in that wide receiver core, because as we mentioned, it's unproven. If someone can somehow show that they can be proven quicker in this league, hey, maybe they will make the team quicker. But if he can make the practice squad, that would be great. But something tells me that's going to be very, very hard. And of course, I wanted to close this video off, still staying in the wide receiver room, because we got news around the league that the New York Jets may release Denzel Mims. Now, it was reported he could get released today, but also they're still listening to trade offers. You know how it goes. Basically announce his release, and then hopefully you get a last-minute trade offer. Denzel Mims, an interesting, very interesting and intriguing name. The Kansas City Chiefs don't need him, but when you look at a guy like that, that fits Brett Veach's mold like 1,000%. A high draft pick, didn't work out with the situation, doesn't cost a lot of money, and you could see Brett Veach kicking the tires. Would I be upset if he did? No. But at the end of the day, does Denzel Mims somehow, some way fit into this wide receiver core with about 1,000 bodies? I don't know either, because definitely if you trade a low-end draft pick for him, he's on the team, and that means it takes someone's roster spot. And I think even if you sign him as well, he would definitely not cost a lot of money. But I feel like if you sign him this early or late into training camp, he's definitely taking a roster spot or fighting with someone on this team for the final spot. So it's a name to watch out for. I don't believe the Kansas City Chiefs are interested in him, but also he fits the resume of what Brett Veach looks for. That guy who is drafted high but hasn't worked out in the NFL and has talent through the roof. So I wouldn't be surprised. With that, Chiefs Kingdom, this video will wrap up day 2 of the Kansas City Chiefs rookies and quarterbacks reporting to camp, but day 1 on the field. Let me know some of your takeaways from today, and let me know how you're feeling moving into training camp. With that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you did like this video, please leave that big thumbs up. I'm checking out. Y'all take care. Peace.